Did 66 years ago. When you see these reenactors, give them a big round of applause. They are fantastic. It is hot outside. They are covered from head to toe, and yes, they are wearing 80 pounds of equipment. All right, our T-34 is coming in from 35 years. Jim Santos is our spotter again today. Eyes in the sky. Here come the T-34s. They seem to be the biggest group today. There are the L&O birds painted up in various colors. They were used in the Second World War. They were used in Korean War. They were used in Vietnam extensively. And the attrition rate on some of these squadrons that flew low and slow were astronomical. The casualty rate of flying forward air controllers in Korea sometimes exceeded 50% of the squadron's manpower. You see, they were sitting ducks. They were doing a great job, but they were sitting ducks to the enemy. And ground-based rifle fire, as our T-34 passed directly over the top, along with our red stars and yellow nose going from right to left in our right turn, right to left, and then the fourth squadron of biplanes. Now, there were three facets of flight training in World War II. It was primary training that involved a line of aircraft known as the PT aircraft, and then you graduated after you learned how to fly and you soloed. You'd go in the next step, that was BT, basic trainers, bigger engine, more complex controls, probably an adjustable propeller, more horsepower, and then from there you graduated into the AT, or advanced trainer, much like the T-6s from North American Aviation that are flying in formation overhead. Again, in terms of training aircraft, the aircraft that were civilian were pressed into military service. Probably the highest production run of the primary trainers, the aircraft that the men first learned how to solo in, was the Lloyd Stearman design that was mass produced by the Boeing Company in Wichita. And according to the record books, there were some 8,500 that were built for the military, with another 2,000 that had enough components to build the aircraft, but the war ended, thank you very much, and those aircraft weren't needed. They were extremely strong, and they could take the punishment that a training airplane gets when a new guy is bouncing his landings day in and day out. He's getting chewed out by the instructor, and the airplane takes an awful lot of abuse and comes back for more. There was a wide variety of those aircraft put in use, including some that were pretty complicated. All right, now we have a fighter aircraft of World War II. Listen to the different sounds. This is called Merlin music. As our fighters take off, blow from the left to the right over the top of the North American T-66, which were called that by the Army Air Corps. Remember, the Air Force hadn't been born yet. The Navy called this airplane coming directly at us the SNJ. The British and the Canadians used the same airplane, and it was called the Harland. According to the record books, 13,500 of those aircraft directly overhead were produced from 1938 to 1945, taking off from the Chance 1 company, the Corsair. which would be an awesome fighter aircraft for the Navy and Marine Corps. Low and to your left, brought to you by the British. It is the Hawker Sea Fury, with its very unusual Bristol Centaurus sleeve valve engine. These mostly have been converted to the Wright engine of 3,350 cubic inches because of parts. Then the very unusual Army airplane with a triple tail and 2 turboprop engines, which saw duty in the Army for, about 33 years or more as an intelligence gathering aircraft, and much, much more. Maybe not the prettiest aircraft out there, but it was an awesome machine for gathering in the Ohio Road. Give Rich Gibson a big round of applause. That's his way of thanking the veterans. As our guys come in and beat up a field, the enemy has set off the air raid system, and everybody is scrambling. Pilots are running for their aircraft, trying to get them off the ground before they go into plane. Great variety of aircraft today. You see that middle airplane on the far side? That's the bent wing Corsair. The Navy called that the Navy had that name for it, but the enemy had a couple of different names. They called it Whistling Death. In a dive, this very fast fighter with a round or radial air-cooled engine, the wind coming through the oil cooler would actually go into a high-pitched whistle at the higher speed. Hence the name Whistling Death, or the bent-winged bird. High overhead in formation, right under the sun, our North American Houston Texans. Rich Gibson with a big firewall, and our troop transport for our reenactors coming in, the C-45 military version of the Twin Beach. A P-51 in front of you now. Got into the war before we did. It was at the request of the British that that airplane was built and put into production in North American aviation in Southern California. There's the bent-wing Corsair that produced the highest scoring Marine ace of World War II, the very colorful and legendary Greg Happy Boyington. Ryan Jensen, pilot of the Beast, coming down in his Ford Mustang convertible, taking a ride after circling the jumper and opening up the shell with a series of high-energy aerobatics in the airplane he calls the Beast. There's the triple tail from an OV-1 Mohawk. And did I tell you, that airplane, that triple tail airplane, also had an injection seat. I think I didn't mention that to you. It was flown primarily at night, under cover of darkness. Now, look under the fuselage, underneath the wing of the airplane in front of you now. There is a spool that has a radiator in it, just like your Ford car or truck. The engine was cooled by coolant. Now, the enemy fighter pilots knew if they shot that radiator and produced a leak, the coolant would drain out, the engine would get hot, it would, he was trying for that smoke ring in the sky. Somebody's going to get that smoke ring in the sky. You wait and see it. It's too tempting. We'll see who's tempted by that. At any rate, the engine would get hot, the engine would seize, and you would have the equivalent of a gliding brick. Yo, baby, okay. The Hawker Sea Fury got it. Okay, 2-0, Hawker Sea Fury. Rich has incredible pyro smoke rings in the sky. Now, the advantage that the round or radial engines had is they were air-cooled, much like the engine on perhaps your lawnmower. They could take a tremendous beating, even having a cylinder shot out, and still get the pilot home. Look at the belly of the P-51 in front of you now. That belly initially had a lot of people concerned because of its drag, its inherent drag. You know what North American aviation did? Because the intake scoop is so much bigger than the exit point, when the air came in, the air was heated, which expands it. You squeeze close the door, the exit door on that radiator, and you actually got jet thrust out the back of that radiator. They call it the Meredith effect, and believe it or not, they measured it at 300 pounds of thrust. So not only did it not create drag, it did neutralize drag, it actually enhanced the performance of the B-51. Part of the great success of the North American B-51 was something relatively new. As Red Stars and T-34s pass over behind us, it was called the laminar flow wing, developed by North American Aviation. Initially, the B-51 was powered, that is, by an American-built Allison engine, as our reenactors are going to work out on the flight line in full combat to regalia. Because the Allison engine built in America just didn't have the horsepower that was needed, the B-51 was initially relegated as a ground attack aircraft. Then finally, when they mated up the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine that was produced in America by the Packard Motor Car Company, then they were able to stretch the wings and take advantage of the fuselage and wing speed of the B-51. Pilots of Dougie, Bob Odegaard and Doug Rosendahl coming down in the Ford Mustang convertible. Dougie, the yellow DC-3, the smile in the sky. When you change that engine on the B-51, you gained another 100 miles per hour. The dogfight arena went from 35 up to 25 up to 35,000 feet. Some say it was the best American fighter that we had. 15,985 of the aircraft were built, and it was flown by Chuck Yeager in World War II.